This beautiful Saturday morning, March the 26th, 2011. You're listening to the Cheap Seats right here on 96.3 WLCN out here at the Christian Village this morning. My name is Cameron Kurtz, and the gentleman sitting to my right is Josh Komnick. And Joshua, a lot of great things happening in the world of college basketball. If you're a college basketball fan, everything that's been going on in the last week or so, some upsets and surprises, those brackets being upsetted and turned upside down. Wow, where do you even begin on something like this?
Yeah, nobody's called me Joshua since my mom did back when I was 15. But thanks for the remembrance, Cameron. But man, what a tournament! What a games that have taken on here just in the last couple of days. Really, the whole tournament. We've talked about upsets. We've talked about close games. Really, yes, you've had some blowouts, but you've had these teams that, for instance, like a VCU, who a lot of people, if you listen to talk show radio or whatever, still don't believe that VCU should have gotten in, and realistically, they should not have gotten in when you're going up with teams against like Colorado and those kind of things. But here they're kind of them against the world mentality, and boy, are they fun to watch. And I enjoyed watching them, till late last night. And they pull off a stunner last night and go on to the Elite Eight, which they'll play Sunday, of course, against Bill Self in Kansas, which Kansas is back to another Elite Eight. It just seems like he's there, every year Bill Self's got a good squad, and he's brought them there, and they're playing maybe as good as anybody, but don't count VCU out, because if you didn't get a chance to watch them, make sure you tune in Sunday. Boy, they are really fun to watch. They play hard. They're up-tempo. That little point guard, Rodriguez, is lightning quick, and a lot of fun to watch.
And those games, we will be breaking down those games that are going to be coming up this weekend, and you will get Kurtz and Komnick's definition of bracketology as we break down those remaining games and everything happening in the world of sports. Let's go ahead and dive right on in. Let's turn to local side of sports, things that are happening in the Lincoln and Logan County area. And first we turn to golf, and this young lady needs no introduction. Lincoln's Catherine Hepler wins again at the Plantations Junior Golf Tournament held last weekend at the Rail down in Springfield. Catherine Hepler has won that Drysdale Championship many years in a row, regarded as one of the best golfers in the state of Illinois, not only for her age, but even making some of those more experienced veterans. And she shot a 76 on day one last week and a 79 on day two. I don't even know if I could do that on 9 holes. She did that on 18 of them, so our congratulations go out to her. Also, I'd like to give a special shout out this morning to the Chester East Lincoln 8th grade girls volleyball team. They took 3rd place at the IESA state tournament last week, defeating Lovejoy. Yeah,
they defeated Lovejoy 19. Actually, they lost the first game 19-25. Then they won the best 2 out of 3, 25-20 and 25-14. And we want to give those girls and coaches, the 8th grade girls,
Chester East Lincoln, Brighton Robbins, Katie Harris, Maddie Ewald, Heather Van Cleve, Naomi Bailey, and Ashley Getchell. Back row, Tyle Carlton, assistant coach Taylor Walters, Jenna Irwin, Megan Jackson, Caitlin Hasbury, Kristen Englehart, and head coach Tanya Conradi. So a good job. It just seems like everywhere you look around junior high, you get into the high school ranks, Logan County has got to be one of the best counties for volleyball. Whether it be junior high or high school, you get Mount Pulaski, of course, Hartsburg, Lincoln, and now all these junior high girls that are doing well and taking their talents up to the high school level is a lot of fun for those volleyball lovers.
And I'm sure those high school coaches take a look at these programs, and you had Hartsburg-Emden with their junior high success a couple of weeks ago in the state tournament, and these coaches are really going to be elated with the pool of talent that they have to pull from.
Yeah, sure, and Cameron, we talked about it last Saturday as the Lynx were going to be fighting that night for the national championship. Well, they did it again. They were back-to-back winners. The Lynx won last Saturday against Mott College, I believe it was. Really in easy fashion. I mean, they didn't have a lot of games. We looked through the scores. It was 15 points, 20 points, 17 points here. The Lynx really just walked kind of through that national championship, and we'll I know Coach Kirk Whiteman, I talked with him this week, and we're going to get him on the show here hopefully maybe next Saturday. He was busy out on the recruiting trail already. When you're vying for those national championships every year, you got to hit the recruits early, and you got to hit them while they're playing in their state tournaments and those kind of things. So Coach is out on the road road this week, but we'll get him back hopefully next week and talk about that national championship. Boy, pretty special when you can win back-to-back national championships. I know a lot of people got to go over it. It's held in Danville, and he's had a pretty good start of his head coaching career. First year, championship is second, and championship in his third.
And an excellent career that he strung together in these first couple of years. And, Josh, we were just kind of talking about college basketball coaches, and it seems to be a very competitive field to get into coaching now. And, of course, Coach Whiteman is a testament to that theory that, hey, I can come in the first couple of seasons, get the job done. Lincoln College, the national champions, a repeat winner at the NJC2A Division II National Championship, like Josh said, defeating Mott Community College, a winner by 7 last Saturday night, 74-67. They finished the season at 28-7, compiling a pretty good record in a tough and competitive conference that they play in, and a lot of those teams that they play in, you pull from some of those community colleges down in the southern Illinois area, and that's where a lot of good basketball is played.
Well, Cameron, it almost seems like their toughest schedule, even including the national championship, is their conference schedule. I mean, you go into, I know they went to Lakeland, I believe, and lost by 20, and then they go to the national championship and really not a close game. I mean, 7 points, but from what I hear, it wasn't that close, really. Mott made a run at the end, and the Lynx kind of had it in hand, but it just shows how good this conference within this Great Lakes that the Lincoln College is a part of is so good that, it really prepares them. And any team that can come out of this area or this region to go to the national tournament always seems to do well.
WLCN Online is the name of the website. If you want to check out Josh and I, we'll be with you for about the next 52 minutes or so. Games that are being played this weekend in the Logan County area. A lot of high school baseball that's starting up. Mount Pulaski will be at home today, taking on Pawnee at 10 o'clock this morning. Lincoln College, their baseball team, will be at home against Lewis and Clark. That game set for 1 o'clock. And the Lady Lynx will, on the softball mound, will take Spoon River, and that game being played at Spoon River at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, and the Lincoln High School games today have been canceled due to projected weather. Of course, it is cold outside, and they were supposed to have a 10 o'clock, and I believe wait a game and then play another one after that. So, but they have canceled the games at Lincoln Community High School this weekend. Normal West was going to be in town, and also O'Fallon was going to be in town. So it would have been a nice weekend, although the weather put a little damper on that.
And I'm sure Coach Hake and his staff are probably disappointed that they didn't get to play this weekend. We're going to try and have Coach Hake on here in the next couple of shows and get his thoughts on what the high school baseball season brings. Also, like to mention this morning for our youth football listeners out there that the Lincoln Youth Football Program will be having their breakfast fundraiser tomorrow, Sunday, March the 27th. That's going to be from 8 o'clock in the morning, running all the way till noon at the American Legion Hall in Lincoln. $7 for adults, and 5 and under get in for free, and a great breakfast fundraiser that they have. Proceeds go to help benefit Lincoln Youth Football Program. Josh, interesting matchups in college basketball. We'll break that down a little bit. Major League Baseball opening day coming up. You've got the NBA and the Chicago Bulls right now on their hot streak. You got the NFL with the rule changes that they've made this week regarding kickoffs, and a lot of great things happening in the world of sports this morning. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Cheap Seats on 96.3 WLCN. Josh and I will step aside and grab our commercial break. We'll be back. Back out here at the Christian Village, Cameron Kurtz and Josh Komnick in this Saturday morning with you on the Cheap Seats, WLCN and WLCNonline.com. And Josh, before we took that commercial break, got another quick local story that we'd like to bring up. Hartsburg-Emden baseball. They kind of ran into hard times there the other day as they did fall 3-0, but senior pitcher Jason O'Brien strikes out 14 and is looking pretty good on the mound so far.
Yeah, they had some success last year, winning the regional, and they've got quite a few guys coming back, and a strong outing for your first outing, a lefty, and strikes out 14. Takes a loss 3-0, couldn't get any runs across, but good things looking for the Stags over in Hartsburg, as you've got at least one guy that can strike out some guys if you can scratch some runs, and all teams around here really just getting started. Baseball is just getting underway, of course. Really in that first 2 weeks to 3 weeks, you're battling bad weather, and it's hard to hit the ball when it's 40 degrees outside, or not alone throw the ball or hit the ball or run even, get loose and all that kind of stuff. So here in the first 3 weeks, it's a little tough to get runs across the board and have your best stuff. But when it starts to get a little warmer out, when the teams really start to hit stride.
And that's when good baseball really starts getting down, is when the weather gets nicer outside, and it's a lot more fun to be playing those spring sports when the weather is nice. College basketball in such a broad area that you just dive into, and kind of a vast scope that you take a look at this weekend. And, this is probably something we could spend the whole hour talking on. A lot of great things happen this week, but if you were Bruce Pearl, not so good things happen. Tennessee fires head coach Bruce Pearl. The 51-year-old Pearl finished 145-61 as a record with 6 seasons with the Volunteers down in Knoxville. And Tennessee, they kind of ran into some problems there with Pearl. Earlier on in the season, he had that suspension as far as recruiting allegations went. The NCAA really cracked down on that. He served that suspension, and they just had a lackluster performance. Basically, after that, they had that great run last year, making it to the Elite Eight, and Pearl did string. Taking a look at that 145-61 record.
Pretty good record.
Yeah, after 6 years, and you only lose 61 games, that's averaging 8, 9, 10 losses a season. That's pretty good when you can go out and play 32 games or so and win 22, 23 of them.
Well, and one thing they did, and probably wasn't the best timing for it, but a reporter had brought up to the AD, is Pearl going to be back as a Vols coach next year, right before the NCAA tournament started? And when the AD says, I really can't comment on that because I don't know what's going to happen with the future of Vol basketball, boy, it just, as a player, you're thinking, man, my coach is going to get fired. The guy that, while I'm at school is a father figure to me. He's recruited me to be here. This is a reason why I came to Tennessee, is because this guy was here, and now they might be sending him down the road. Now I'm supposed to go out and play a NCAA tournament game where they just got blown out of the water. It wasn't even close. That just added the icing on the cake for the AD to say, hey, we're going in a different direction. I think Pearl knew what he was doing. He hasn't been, the model citizen of a coach even before he was at Tennessee. But, that's a tough situation. It's basically win or go home. It sounds like he's won. So the thing was that he just, he broke the rules. And it seems like more and more in the last 3 years or so, the NCAA is cracking down on a little more, and maybe they're making a statement here by saying, you lie to us, you do the wrong things. Just like Coach Trussell at Ohio State.
Yeah.
He's in some hot water right now with some things going on in their football program. It happens everywhere. The NCAA is just kind of finally maybe making an effort to go choose it or to find it.
That's right. Enough on Bruce Pearl, and like you said, Josh, this is going on all over the place. This just happens to be one of those more popular cases that gets reported on a little bit more. Let's kind of take a look, though. We've got a bracket sitting in front of us here, bracketology. We're going to go ahead and break it down. Some upsets that occurred Thursday night and a couple of upsets that occurred last night. But taking a look at the games that did take place, you had a very hot matchup Thursday night when you took a look at the Wildcats and the Blue Devils. Arizona and Duke going up against each other. Of course, Duke, the defending national champions, getting that 1 seed. Probably definitely the favorite in that game. I know I was thinking that Duke was just going to pull away with it. Didn't think it was going to be close. Coach K, he's right at 900 wins right now. He just needs 2 more to tie Bobby Knight, 3 to get the all-time wins record. And as the game went on, it wasn't Duke won the first half. Arizona definitely won the second half, and Krzyzewski mentioned that in his post game comments that it wasn't much of a game at all in the second half, getting beat by 17 points.
Well, a lot of what happens with Duke is when they're making shots and making threes and really running, they look as good as anybody, maybe the best team in the nation, but they weren't hitting threes in the second half, and Derek Williams from Arizona is an absolute stud. If he's not talked about being National Player of the Year, I know Nolan Smith's getting all this credit for Duke, but this guy's been averaging 22, 23 points a game, over almost 10 rebounds a game. He has 25 in the first half against Duke, really carries Arizona, because without him, if he only gets 15, they're down 10 at half and maybe done, but he carries them. This guy could be Player of the Year, should be #1 pick, I think, in the draft. he was just a man among boys, and you saw he didn't have a good game against Texas, although he hit that last-second shot for Arizona to win. But boy, Arizona is tough, and that coach out there, Sean Miller, I believe his name is, has really got that program turned back around after Lute Olson left. They had some off years, and now they're right back in it. And to me, Arizona can beat UConn, as we talk about UConn beating San Diego State, which, a lot of people had that game as a 1-point favorite. San Diego State was a 1-point favorite. They were playing close to home. That wasn't a big shocker to me. And talk about the run that UConn's been on. 5 games in 5 days in the Big East tournament. They've won three games now here in the NCAA tournament, going for a fourth in a row. Could be 9 straight for UConn. And Coach Calhoun has got that program rolling right now.
Oh, definitely rolling in. Calhoun has had a lot of success over the years. They won it all. They're going back about 6 or 7 years ago now. It seems like they're always making a statement in the Big East Conference. And you talk about a competitive conference in that. You have Syracuse. They won a national title just a couple of years back. You've got Louisville, Rick Pitino and his squad always dominating in that conference. And other teams that collectively pull together to make the Big East what it is. And the Huskies are definitely proving that, hey, we're going to come out, we're going to make a statement with this, and very much as they should. Connecticut is regarded as one of the best programs in the country. They were kind of hoping that they would get a 2 seed. Right. They went ahead, dropped a spot. They got a 3 seed. Some people were probably hoping for San Diego State. You talk about as far as the 1-point favorite, and even some of the experts probably had it even as a draw, saying that it could have gone either way. San Diego State, what a story that they've been, though, all year. Yeah,
you're right. They were talking the other night about the game. UConn travels 3,000 miles, where all their fans, if they had a whole bunch of them come, of course have to fly and do all that kind of stuff, where San Diego State was, I think 98 miles away from playing in Anaheim. And, boy, UConn has just gelled together as a team. They've always had Kemba Walker and the big Oriaki kid inside, but their freshmen have been really big. I can't remember the one that's really been playing well. Lamb, I think his last name is, really been playing well for Connecticut. Mm-hmm. San Diego State with Coach Fisher, been there before at Michigan. Of course, we've been watching the Fab Five movie on ESPN and ESPNU all since last month, and he's been there, and he had this team rolling this year, and it looked for that program to keep going, a good area. Now that a lot of people have seen that they can be a powerhouse, mm-hmm. and just look for the recruits to keep coming for Coach Fisher and the Aztecs.
Out of the West Regional Final, it'll be Arizona and Connecticut. The UConn Huskies, a 3 seed. The Wildcats from Arizona, a 5 seed. That is the West Regional. Let's move up and go to the East Regional now, moving right along through the bracket. Kentucky and North Carolina. Roy Williams Tar Heels come in at the number 2 seed, and Jim Calipari and his Kentucky Wildcats coming in at the 4 seed. And North Carolina just destroys Marquette last night. And if you're a Golden Eagles fan for Marquette, really disappointing and probably very painful to watch. Basically all the game through, what was it, like a 15-point lead or whatever at half?
Well, and remember, this team had 14 losses this year, so they weren't perfect. They weren't big, or they're not big, and North Carolina just beat them. Tyler Zeller was at, 27 points, 15 rebounds or something. They're 7 foot and 6'11" inside. Remember, Illinois fans, that Illinois beat this North Carolina team very handily at Champaign this year, and it's a whole different team. You saw a team from Illinois, for instance, that didn't really improve a whole lot this year, and now you take a look back at this North Carolina team, and boy, how have they improved. Harrison Barnes, who was the number 1 recruit coming out of high school last year, really was non-existent through much of the first third of the season, and now he's 15 to 18-point guy. Tyler Zeller really was not the dominant guy that he has been lately in the last 2 months for Coach Roy Williams, and they found a point guard in the left-hander, and that's really what's made them go. They run, and Marquette just kind of their match kind of caught up with them. I think they were on a confidence high right there, and they beat Syracuse, which was kind of a rival in the Big East. Right. And then they run into North Carolina in Newark last night, and they just had everything going. It was a game where I don't think Marquette, if they shoot 70% from the field, they were going to be able to come ahead in that, because North Carolina is just way too big, and that will be an interesting matchup when Kentucky when they meet up tomorrow, because Kentucky knocks off Ohio State last night. Which
what a game.
Everybody thought Ohio State was going to be that for sure Final Four team, championship game, of course the outright number one. And Kentucky, they just kind of hanging around, and really they play 3-4 freshmen. They play the Liggins kid from Chicago, and the big kid inside Harrison, who was a senior who had 88 minutes total in his career, I believe, at Kentucky, and then comes in. It was pretty neat. They asked Calipari last night after the game, how has this Harrelson become such a player? And Coach Calipari said he made a bad tweet before the season, something about Calipari, and he was a dog. He was working him hard in practice, and he made this kid run 30 minutes before practice every day. Before even everybody started practice, he ran 30 minutes for 30 days, and he said, if you don't do it, you're off the team. If you do it, you can stay. He did it. He shaped his body in that 30 days, and now look at him. He's one of the leading rebounders in the SEC, and really a senior leader for this Kentucky team.
Absolutely. Ohio State and Kentucky, that matchup that went down, Kentucky definitely proved themselves last night.
Right.
It's going to be 4-2 as far as our seeds go up, Kentucky and North Carolina. Josh, real quickly, moving right along with this one, Kansas and VCU, number 1 takes on 11. The Rams of VCU have really been the surprise.
Yeah, and we talked about it earlier, that you had this team like a Butler's back in it now, and making this run of nobody thinking anybody can do it. They weren't supposed to be in the tournament. They didn't even think they were going to be in the tournament. They come in with 11 losses in the Collegiate League, and now they're getting ready to play probably the best team in the whole entire basketball NCAA in Kansas. And the game they played last night, they're fast-paced. They throw the ball away a lot. They turn the ball over, but they don't quit. And they just kept going at you, and they kind of lull you to sleep. I thought some of the plays that they called last night were perfect. That coach can really coach there, in Shaka Smart, and he had some great plays called. They hit some big threes, and they're really scrappy. They're not big, but they just play hard, and that's a fun thing for me to watch, is a team that just gets after it, that might be undermanned right now, but is just riding a whirlwind of confidence. And we'll see what they can do against Kansas. Kansas is tough. They're big. They're 9 deep. They're experienced. Like I said, they're probably the best team playing right now. And boy, if VCU could do it one more time, would be pretty special.
Oh, it would definitely prove a lot of people wrong. Some people that had Kansas picked not only to go to the Final Four, but some of them even had it picked to win it all.
I got them picked to win it all, Kansas.
Well, see, there you go.
But I would rather see VCU win it than to mess up my little bracket.
6:05 is going to be the start time for that Southwest Regional Final to be played in San Antonio. And our final regional that we have to take a look at comes out of the Southeast Regional in New Orleans. Butler and Florida. Butler, an 8 seed. Wow, the last weekend they went ahead, they knocked off Pittsburgh, a 1 seed. They go ahead, they do it again the other night against Wisconsin. They've got a tough matchup, though, in Billy Donovan's Florida club, who has seen a lot of success over the last couple of years, winning it all back-to-back years in 2006 and 2007.
Well, Coach Donovan's got a lot of experience. He's been there for a long time. They're big inside. They're the Tyus, and they've got some other guys inside that are good. They've got shooters on the outside. If Butler can hang around with them, just like they have all tournament, just kind of hang, and then at the end they seem to turn it on a little bit more. If Butler can do that, and Florida's not hitting their outside shot, Butler can beat them. They're experienced, like we talked about. They were there, and as you said it, they better add another 0 to Mr. Brad Stevens' contract for next year, because there are going to be a lot of people calling. Of course, Tennessee doesn't have a coach now. Missouri doesn't have a coach, so. He could get a big payday, and it seems like a lot of colleges love to watch this tournament. And if anybody has success in this tournament, they're going to get maybe the job of their dreams, or a job that's going to be a big payday. But Cameron, I want to go back through this, and we're going to get our picks.
Okay.
So we're going to see here in the upcoming weeks who makes the picks. All right, you're going up. North Carolina against Kentucky. Who are you taking?
I'm probably going to take North Carolina in this one. I like the Tar Heels. They come with a lot of experience. Coach Roy Williams has been through this tournament all the time. That run that he had there with Kansas, that spanned a very long time. won 2 national championships in '05, and then 2 years ago just with the Tar Heels. I like them in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm going to take I'm going to take the Tar Heels too. I can't believe Illinois beat them, and they're still in the tournament. But I'm going to take the Tar Heels. They're too big inside with the experience. I like the big kids inside. Arizona, UConn.
I'm probably going to take UConn in this one, even though Arizona did impress me quite a bit the other night when they beat Duke. I saw a lot of great things. That camera guy for that game, he had his hands full with all those dunks and amazing moves, and that highlight reel is going to be packed. But I'm probably going to go ahead and stay with the Huskies on this one. Kemba Walker is definitely one of the better players in the country, and I think when he's on the floor, it's just his presence out there is mind-boggling.
Yeah, they're riding that wave of wins right now, but I'm going to take the Wildcats. I like Derek Williams, and I like Sean Miller as the head coach. They're putting together something. UConn's on a great string, but I think it ends tonight, actually, when Arizona will knock off UConn for me. Cameron, Kansas and VCU.
I'm going to go ahead and go with the Jayhawks on this one. Kansas was probably my pick to go ahead and win it all when I was filling out these brackets a couple of weeks ago. And an initial turning point while you're making out these brackets, it's going to be interesting, though, when you've got a team like Richmond, though, that when Kansas played them the other night, wow. I mean, just completely one-sided.
Yeah.
VCU is a team an awful lot like Richmond, an 11 seed, and I just think that Kansas has the speed and the strength, and I think they're going to be too much for them. I like Kansas.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. They're too big inside. I would love to see VCU win this, baby, but I just think Kansas too big, too strong, too tough, too deep. They will run VCU to where they can't run anymore, and that's what they like to do. Is VCU likes to get up and down the floor. They'll contest those threes that Florida State did not last night, and really kind of hold down the Rams from VCU. But what a run they made here in the tournament. Well, hopefully they make up a couple more games. Cameron, last game, Butler, Florida, in New Orleans.
You know, Butler has definitely been a surprise once again this year, and I know we were talking about it earlier on in the season, and even as the season dragged on, everyone's asking, who's going to be the next Butler? Who's Butler this year? Who cares? Butler is Butler. They are themselves this year. Butler themselves. Brad Stevens at 34 years old. He's the real deal. I like Butler, but as far as this matchup, I don't know. Something about Florida is just sticking out to me, and I don't know if the Bulldogs can keep this running. I'm going to go ahead and take Billy Donovan's Gators.
As well, I will take Billy Donovan with the experience. For a long time now, I like their size inside. I like their athleticism. I think Florida will come out, be in the Final Four. It'll be now Florida, Kansas for me, and also North Carolina, and I'll have Arizona in, or you will have UConn in. So just run real discrepancy here. We'll see how this plays out, and then get back to it next weekend to see who's the better bracketologist for the tournament so far.
All right, Josh, we're going to step aside and take another commercial break, and when we come back, we will have some of the fine folks at the Christian Village sitting down with us. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back out at the Christian Village this Saturday morning, and Josh, we were finishing up our discussion there on college basketball, and it'll be interesting to see how all these brackets play out. Major League Baseball, though, is starting up. Opening day is just a week away. March 31st signals opening day for baseball. The clubs then have until then to get their rosters trimmed down to 25 players. During spring training, a lot of these clubs carry 40-man rosters, and now they got to, trim the fat, get those guys, and figure out exactly where they're going to go. But probably the big question, especially for people around here, that we want to know, how do the Cardinals and the Cubs look, and where exactly are they going to favor this year?
Well, I don't think the Central's that great of a division, really. So
it's always been kind of weak,
right? So I think both of them have a chance to both, be up in the top. The Brewers are average. The Reds had a great year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Can they repeat that? Will be a big topic of for the Reds this year. Can they repeat the success that they had last year? But there's no reason that the Cubs or Cardinals can't be at the top. They're both talented. Their pitching staff, now that your main man is gone. It's kind of slimmed that down to being the top staff, to maybe be in the middle of the pack, or maybe just a little bit down. And the Cubs staff, you add Garza, which he may not be the answer. If Garza and Zambrano can throw good innings and have good outings this year, the Cubs can be tough. But it all depends, if what team gets on that roll. You see streaks. The season is so long. It's withstanding those losing streaks and trying to build on big winning streaks. And it seems like the Cubs have a rough time of doing that. But hopefully with the new manager, some different things happening. Some guys had bad years. I look for Ramos Ramirez to have a big year. He had a terrible year last year. We're usually seeing him right around the 300 range. Batting average, 25 home runs, 100 knocked in. He wasn't even close to any of those. Played a bat at third base. So if he can come on, if Soriano can do anything, I think Colvin should be starting in right, and Fukudome should be pinch running or something. And Colvin should be in right. He should have been Rookie of the Year if they would have given him enough playing time last year. And then Pena at first base, if he can hit Soto behind the plate. We've got players. I mean, there's no reason the Cubs can't be good. There's talent there. It's just, can this manager put it together? And it seems like we've had a tough time forever. How many years I've been watching or listening, we've had a tough time putting it together. Now, from the Cardinals standpoint, I think you've got a good manager, one of the best. He gets them to go. They play hard. They play smart. I really look for the Cardinals to be right up there. I know you lost Wainwright, but you got too tough of a manager, too tough of a team, and when you got the best player in baseball batting third for you, it's boy. And now you've got some weapons around him with Holiday in the outfield, and they can definitely score runs when that guy gets 3 for 4 every game.
Well, that's definitely going to be the area that they need to address the most. From a Cardinals fan perspective, it's got to be hitting. That has probably got to be the biggest area in which you pick up and you move on from last year, is hitting. How many times did we see games last year, and Cardinals fans, I'm sure you can back me up on this, runners in scoring positions, the timely hits weren't coming? How many times did we see players that weren't hitting in the clutch when they need to be, making those plays happen? And also from a pitching perspective, you lose Wainwright, so now that puts extra pressure on Carpenter. And so many times last year, regardless who's on the mound, if you've got Carpenter or Wainwright or whoever on the mound, they're pitching a pretty good game. They're going 6-7 innings and only giving up 1 or 2 runs, and then you check the box score the next morning, and, final score 2-1. It's like, what, you can't get any runs to back them up?
That's the difference between Cubs fans and Cardinals fans. I already know what's going to happen with those big 2-out hits. It's going to be an out. So we're just hoping for the solo home run that the Cubs are accustomed to. But the Cardinals, yeah, you're right. They've done a lot of those big-time hits. And, you didn't see a lot of, and I didn't watch every Cardinal game, but I didn't see a lot of squeeze plays by La Russa last year.
No, you didn't.
And he's almost guaranteed for, I'd say 10 of those to 15 of those a year. And, you just didn't see a lot of that, kind of that small ball that he likes to play.
Sure.
And I know you don't have Pujols doing it, but there's a lot of other guys like a Terriot who'll be doing it for you probably this year. And, I just hope that he didn't change his philosophy at all.
I don't think that it really did. He's still going to go ahead and coach and manage the team in the way that he's done for years. I don't think that's really going to change anytime soon. An interesting little side note, while we're on the subject of baseball, the host of the 2012 All-Star Game has been announced. The 2012 Major League Baseball All-Star Game will be played at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City. So the home of the Royals, that's where we're going to be playing next year for the All-Star Game. This year, though, in Phoenix at Chase Field. So the next 2 All-Star Games will probably be pretty interesting as far as where they're moving these games around. It's not necessarily like the Super Bowl that has down south. We saw it in St. Louis just 2 years ago. You saw it in New York a couple of years back. It was in Houston a couple of years back. Phoenix, Kansas City. They like to move it around quite a bit, and I admire Major League Baseball for doing that. Let's go ahead and talk the NBA, and the Chicago Bulls are probably the hottest team right now going in the league. They've got some of the best players in the country. Derrick Rose, and the college standout that he was at Memphis, coming in and in his first couple of seasons with the Bulls. Wow, really a force to be reckoned with.
Well, if you were to tell me at the start of the season that the Bulls would have a better record than the Los Angeles Lakers, I would have been laughing in your face and telling you don't know anything about basketball, but they do. The Bulls are 52-19. The Lakers are 52-20. Only better record against the Bulls is San Antonio at 57-15. Man, they just keep doing it. They don't have a lot of high-priced major studs, but San Antonio just keeps on winning. But the Bulls, we talked about it last week. Derrick Rose is by far the MVP. I've heard a lot of people saying that now. Before then, you didn't. You just heard him in discussion of it. Now they're really saying that if things go like they have been, he's by far the MVP. Maybe Coach Thibodeau is the Coach of the Year, I think, for sure. I wasn't high on the Boozer pickup, but, boy, he gets it done. He plays hard. I love Joakim Noah. They've got a good bench. They play hard. Luol Deng is not a guy that a lot of people look at, but he just does the little things. He guards the best player that your opponent you're playing. He puts in 15 a night, and I really enjoy watching him. There for a couple of years, you couldn't even turn them on because they were just tough to watch, or the NBA sometimes for me is tough to watch. But I can watch the Bulls every night. I can watch Derrick Rose for 20 hours straight because he's so strong. He's added the jump shot to his repertoire, and now he's got them rolling, and they're fun to watch. Kind of like the old times when Jordan and those guys were back. We don't have the big names that they have or had, but they're a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully they can keep it going.
And Derrick Rose can also dunk. I mean, he's not a very big guy, and you just see this kid how quick he is. He's going down. He's going up against these guys that are 6'8", 6'9", guys that are a lot bigger than he is, and he'll throw a dunk right in their face, and you have to watch the replay on that 2 or 3 times to really fully appreciate it. And the Bulls, wow, everything just seems to be clicking for them. And when the playoffs get started coming up here in about another month or so, NBA playoffs seems like it drags on forever.
Yeah, it does.
But probably, though, they have their reasons for the playoffs to be dragging along because, well, you take a look right there. I mean, the records, that answers it for you right there, that there is a lot of parity that goes on in the National Basketball Association and these teams, how on any given night, and we're not just necessarily saying the Bulls or necessarily saying the San Antonio with the records that they've compiled. I know everyone has been taking a look at Los Angeles and Boston. They've been the perennial powerhouses year in, year out. But I think 2011 is going to be that year where we see maybe a team who has kind of fallen under the radar the last couple of years. 2011 might be the year that we see that theory get reversed.
Well, hopefully we see the Bulls winning it all, and that's what I'd like to see. As a Bulls fan, it's hard for me sometimes, like I said, to watch the NBA, but the playoffs are a whole different atmosphere. They actually play hard. I will give it the Bulls play hard every night. I don't see them taking a lot of nights off. But the playoffs come, it's a little more enjoyable to watch, especially if you have the team that you cheer for, being the Chicago Bulls. And remember, what was it, 4 years ago, you were watching Derrick Rose play at Peoria Civic Center for the state championship.
Yep.
And how you can think that a guy like that was playing against high schoolers, which he was, and just dominating like he is now against the best of the best.
Oh, he had that phenomenal career there at Simeon High School. He goes on to Memphis, plays in a national championship game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to come away with that one. He was one of those players, though, a one-and-done kind of player that we mentioned there, and a lot of great things just coming together. The NFL has made some rule changes this week, and no, it probably wasn't the news that a lot of fans were hoping for. They didn't necessarily get everything in together as far as the lockout is concerned, but a couple of rule changes were implemented for the 2011-2012 season regarding kickoffs. Now, take a look at this, and it's gonna take about a minute to explain and their whole reasoning on that. But they're going to move kickoffs up to the 35-yard line. Instead of kicking off at the 30, they're now going to kick off at the 35, and touchbacks are going to come out to the 25-yard line, where in the past it's always been 20. So you take 5 yards on the kickoff, 5 yards on the return. It shortens the playing field 10 yards, and the NFL's reasoning on that was they were hoping to lower the number of injuries that they saw during the 2009, 2010, and especially in the 2011 seasons, where injuries were just a statement time and time again, and they're hoping that with that shorter playing field and could kind of help eliminate some of those problems. But then also, if you're a special teams coach, you may have to completely change your philosophy, or you may have to take some of those plays and revamp them a little bit.
Well, you don't have to change your philosophy. You just fire them, because what's the use going to be for the special teams? They're just going to kick it in the end zone every time now. So Devin Hester, your worth is 0 now, because you can't play receiver, you can't catch the ball, and the only thing you could do was run the ball back after they kicked it to you. Now that they're going to be kicking him into the uprights like an extra point,
right.
You can't catch it. So you had that Josh Cribbs from, I believe it was Cleveland. I don't understand this, because they want to stop the injuries. Anybody that plays special teams is not a big name player anyways.
Right.
So
it's not like it's
you're not putting Peyton Manning out there. Reggie Wayne doesn't go catch punts or anything like that. So I just have a problem with this rule, and it just throws out some of the excitement of the game.
Right.
Of there's not going to be any kick returns unless it's obviously a punt, but the kickoffs they're going to these guys kick it 8 yards deep now. Going from the 20? Well, they're kicking it off from the 25,
right?
And now it's the 35,
right? Kickoffs going from the 30 to the 35. Touchbacks.
Right. So 5 more yards. They kick
right.
it 8 yards deep. Now it's going to be 13 yards. They're going to be kicking it into the stands. So that just takes out an element to me that I think is one of the most fun things to watch about football. And I don't know why the Bears keep Hester around now. Because obviously he can't. He hasn't been shown that he can catch the ball as a receiver. So
he's not going anywhere.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying these guys. I didn't understand the rule. I don't like it.
I don't understand
this 2-man
it
wedge thing. Injuries happen. Some guy got on there and said, if you don't want to play football, you don't want to get injured, quit. And that's basically what it is. These guys are hitting people like crazy. I don't think this stops them. They're still going to get full speed. These guys can get full speed in 7-6 steps, and now 5 yards isn't going to stop them by any means. So
really, I don't even know. I think ultimately the rule change might have been to kind of draw a little attention away from everything that's going on. Is it going to be a big change?
We may not even have football.
Well, yeah, I would be. Well, we'll probably still have football. I would be a little bit more concerned about that. Are special teams coaches going to get fired? No, it's just it's something to talk about. Josh, we're going to step aside, get our final commercial break of the broadcast, and when we come back, we will have Julie King from the Christian Village sitting down with us. Stay tuned. We'll be back. And Cameron Kurtz back out here at the Christian Village this Saturday morning, and I'm joined right now by Julie King, the assistant administrator out at the Christian Village. And Julie, first of all, thanks for having us out here. The Christian Village has been very supportive of our program, and it seems like every month when we come out here, there's always something new to talk about.
Yep, you guys do a great job here, and we appreciate you wanting to be here with us.
Julie, a lot of things that have been happening with the Christian Village in about the last year or so has really kind of rewritten a lot of people's conception and their ideas about the Christian Village. Ultimately, your mission here is to serve God and to make sure that your residents have that faith-based support, with being Logan County's only faith-based retirement community and supportive living service. What are some of the things that are going on in progress right now to make sure that those ideas stay implemented?
There are several services that we have available. Most folks know that we have everything from independent living to kind of intermediate independent living, which is where we are right now in the senior apartments. And then we have dementia care for folks who suffer from different diseases that cause memory loss. Therapy services are available to anyone who wants to come post-surgically or after a lengthy illness so that they can get strong enough to go back home again. So what we want to do is always provide that sense of community, that if you come and move to the Christian Village, you know that you have just expanded your family, and in a good way. You know, that you've got people that care about what happens to you, that you can come to them no matter what the issues are, from a light bulb overhead that needs to be changed to worries and fears about your health and what can I do next.
Well, that's very comforting and reassuring, not only to the residents, but also to the families of those residents, where a lot of times they have to make sometimes important decisions that are a little difficult to make. But it's nice, though, that the Christian Village and the staff that you have here are willing to back that up a little bit. You mentioned something about the rehabilitation and as far as therapy goes, maybe after an injury or an illness. Care to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Right now in the nursing home itself, we are in the midst of renovations, and there's kind of a fine line between construction and destruction. Right now, we finally crossed the line into construction. We've expanded our therapy gym probably threefold. It's going to be much larger with more equipment. But as far as the therapy that we provide, we have physical therapy, which goes back to strengthening someone who has lost their mobility because of perhaps they had a hip fracture or knee replacement surgery, and they want and need to get back on their feet. So physical therapy works with them with their balance and being able to move safely. Then we have occupational therapy, and those are the folks who work with you to help you get back to doing things in your own home safely. The industry phrase is activities of daily living. So that would be cooking, cleaning, bathing, dressing. So our therapist would work helping you to do that in the safest way possible, perhaps by helping you with adaptive devices.
Okay.
And then we have our speech therapists who will help people with swallowing problems or post-stroke, helping them to find their words again.
The different levels of care that are out here at the Christian Village, the list just seems to go on and on. What are probably some of those levels of care that are up toward the top of that list?
I would say the dementia care. We are the only specific dementia care unit in all of Logan County, and all of our staff are specially trained to deal with folks that have memory care issues. And the biggest thing for them is to feel safe. And for their families to know that they can sleep at night knowing that their loved one is safe and cared for. And then secondary to that would be the therapy that we provide. And then our hospice care services. Most people don't know that we do that, but again, because we're faith-based, when people are transitioning that last time, when they are in the active process of dying, we make sure that they are cared for, that they are fully tended, the family and the resident themselves.
Oh, very much so. A lot of people that in the community that have questions and maybe want to get a little bit more information, who do they need to contact out here to answer some of those questions and to help make that decision a little bit easier?
They can always call the village and ask for me. Or Marcia Cook is our community nurse liaison, and she will come and make home visits and sit and talk with family or prospective resident and find out what their issues are. There are times when we've even told folks, you're not ready for us yet. There are services in the community that can help you stay home. So we're not about just pushing the services we have here. We want them to know that they have options no matter what. We're just one of them.
That's great, and really you have the best interests of the residents at heart, and it's very comforting to know that. Julie, real quick, kind of while we're wrapping up here, let's talk college basketball a little bit. This morning you were chanting "Go Butler!"
Go Butler! That's right.
Wanting the Butler Bulldogs to kind of make an upset there when Josh and I were taking our picks a little bit. You think that they need to extend Coach Stevens' contract out a little bit?
I would love to see that happen. I would. He's done a fantastic job.
At 34 years old, he's the real deal, don't you think?
I think so. Start them out young, cut their teeth, and then keep them.
Well, I think it's definitely safe to say that Brad Stevens will be at Butler for the next couple of years, and hopefully that they can build that program up to to get some of those blue chip recruits. And it's nice to see a smaller school do well in the tournament. Julie, thanks for being on with me today, and of course we thank you and your staff, and we thank Doug Rudder, your administrator, for having us out here today. And you said if anyone has any questions, go ahead, contact you. They can contact Marcia. What's a phone number that they can get a hold of you at?
They can call 732-2189, and that's the nursing home number itself. And through that line, they can contact any one of us. They'll transfer the call to our cell phones or whatever it is they need to do, and I'm available 24 hours a day.
Excellent. Well, that is the number to call the Christian Village if you have any questions, if you want to come out, take a tour, get a little bit more information. These folks out here will be more than glad to assist you in that. Julie, once again, thank you for being on here with us this morning. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this March 26th edition of The Cheap Seats. For my co-host, Josh Komnick, For technical producer Tyler Jones back at the station, and for our general manager Jim Ash, who has been manning the boards this morning, our camera operator TJ Trail, this is Cameron Kurtz, thanking you for listening. Next week we'll be at the Lincoln Rec Center for the health fair that is going on. So join Josh and I next week at the Rec Center. This is Cameron Kurtz saying until next weekend, we'll see you down the road.